good morning. How are y'all doing today? Today we are playing Dagon. I know I'd rather be playing Phasmophobia and Dell's New Diner, but I don't want to be competing with people out there who are looking for, you know, Twitch drop badge. And since I'm not a partner, I just don't want to compete with that. But I will play later as time goes on. Let me double check my stream to see how things are going. Today we are playing Dagon, sort of a narrative visual novel. Right, we'll talk about. Anyway, sorry about that. I got a little distracted. Today we'll talk about it as we go on, what we know about it, what we've read this book for a number of times throughout my life. I'm also a fan of Lovecraft, despite his questionable morals. But that's alright. Just because they have, I don't know, because they're different, doesn't mean I can't enjoy their work. Let's see. Let's see if I got everything. You can see the chat. You can hear the music. Alright. What do I know about Dagon? Dagon is a pretty early work from Lovecraft's imagination. He wrote it down. It's a short story, and it was first seen or published in, I think, 1917. In I don't remember. It was a kind of a reader magazine, or it's called The Variant. That's right. And that was when it was published 2 years later in 1919. It's a very brief first-person narrative told by an unnamed drug addict narrator who just recounts a terrifying experience at sea after his ship was captured during World War I. Let's see what else. Oh yeah, of course he escapes, you know, and stuff happens to him. We'll experience that in the game. There we go. But that's the setup. Let's start in. Dagon is a faithful interactive adaptation of H.P. Lovecraft's work focused on story and atmosphere. You will not find difficult choices, action sequences, or inventory management here. And movement is limited to just proceeding through the locations along with the plot.
I am writing this under an appreciable mental strain, since by tonight I shall be no more.
Okay. So, during the game you will encounter interactive elements. Some of them will allow you to continue your journey. Others reveal interesting facts about the original story and its historical background. Some of the trivia is hidden. In order to find them. Find these secrets, focus on your eyes, and look on the Elder sign. So we're looking at right click. Right? Yeah, okay. Excuse me, I sneezed.
Penniless, and at the end of my supply of the drug which alone makes life endurable, I can bear the torture no longer, and shall cast myself from this garret window into the squalid street below. Do not think from my slavery to morphine that I am a weakling or a degenerate. When you have read these hastily scrawled pages, you may guess, though never fully realize, why it is that I must have forgetfulness or death.
There's like artifacts here. There's a question mark here. And the audio there. Ah, okay. Morphine. Morphine entered into use in the 19th century and was routinely administered to treat severe pain during the American Civil War, 1861 and 1865, and in World War I, 1914 and 1918. It was sold without restrictions until 1914. Morphine became more powerful after the invention of the hypodermic syringe around 1854. Frederick Sertner, who first isolated the substance, originally named it morphium after the Morpheus Greek god associated with dreams. At the end of Dagon was published, morphine abuse was known as the soldier's disease, already posed a big problem in the United States. You can read the discovered trivia immediately or go back to them later in the main menu. Turn off displaying trivia if you find the feature distracts you from the story. This can be canceled anytime.
It was in one of the most open and least frequented parts of the broad Pacific that the packet of which I was supercargo fell a victim to the German sea raider. The Great War was then at its very beginning, and the ocean forces of the Hun had not completely sunk to their later degradation, so that our vessel was made a legitimate prize, whilst we of her crew were treated with all the fairness and consideration due us as naval prisoners.
Nice atmospheric. Look at that. Huns. The Huns were the Central Asian nomads who established a dominion in Europe and invaded the Roman Empire in the 5th century AD. They were known as brutally deadly warriors and masters of quick raids who also developed powerful composite bows, lassos, and early siege weapons. During World War I, the British used the word Hun as a synonym for Germans in order to emphasize their brutality. However, the term originated when the German Emperor Wilhelm II gave a speech to his troop on the 27th of July, 1900, before they embarked to China. Did I do this in a German accent? Would people be insulted? Should you encounter the enemy, we will be defeated. No quarter will be given, prisoners will not be taken. Whoever falls into the hands of into your hands is forfeited. Just as 1,000 years ago the Huns under the king of Attila made a name for himself, no one, even today, makes them seem mighty in history and legend. May the name German be affirmed in such a way in China that no Chinese will ever dare to look across-eyed at a German. The refusal to take prisoners was a clear breach of the laws and customs of war adopted during the First Hague Convention of 1899. Okay. To me, if I could say some commentary, the impact of World War I on this story's imagery, drifting at sea, a sense of global upheaval, the horror of unknown forces from, I guess, Lovecraft's perspective, who was living in Rhode Island at the time, I would assume would just reflect an atmosphere of dread, especially the encroaching war, and it's a war. It's the first war, the Great War, the war that's supposed to end all wars. That's wrong, but obviously, Lovecraft himself, in my mind, he was aware of the war and the sense of chaos and loss defined in the era. Everybody felt it at the time. He did not serve in the war. I should probably say that. At that time, he was probably, in the 1917s, during that time, he was going through family problems, right? So, and in 1917, when he wrote this piece, in my mind, if you're experiencing family problems, everything just seems overwhelming, right? His father had just died. His mother and his grandfather were experiencing a deep financial and business loss, and they fell in society because of that. And I think his father was committed in a psychiatric hospital, but not now, but previously. Like, I think in 1898? Yeah. And he was still kind of suffering from that isolation, right? And while his mother and his grandfather were trying to recover financially, he's probably just trying to combat depression. So, kind of deep stuff, but there you have it. Let's go ahead and listen to this boat.
So liberal, indeed, was the discipline of our captors, that 5 days after we were taken, I managed to escape alone in a small boat with water and provisions for a good length of time. When I finally found myself adrift and free, I had but little idea of my surroundings. Never a competent navigator, I could only guess vaguely by the sun and stars that I was somewhat south of the equator. Of the longitude, I knew nothing, and no island or coastline was in sight. The weather kept fair, and for uncounted days I drifted aimlessly beneath the scorching sun, waiting either for some passing ship or to be cast on the shores of some habitable land.
I can just imagine this, why he wrote this and what he was feeling at the time. I mean, you have the imagery of him drifting in the sea and I would say, I'm going to speculate here, with both existential aimlessness and the sense of Lovecraft being cut adrift from society with his loss of financial independence with his family. I think from what I've read in past Lovecraft works, is that for me, I understand it that the ocean. For me, I think that the ocean is a recurring symbol in his fiction. It is an abyssal space of origins older than humanity, where monstrous truths lie and hidden. This is kind of a reflection of his own inner nihilism. And this is why I find him fascinating. dive in.
But neither ship nor land appeared, and I began to despair in my solitude upon the heaving vastness of unbroken blue. The change happened whilst I slept. Its details I shall never know, for my slumber, though troubled and dream-infested, was continuous.
Whoa. Let's take it all in. There it is. There's that expansive black slime. I've read the book, or the short story, so. And then ancient creatures, fetid and rotting. Like, how would I describe this? Primitive chaos. A world before human order. I'm guessing, because of his era, of his time, science, discoveries of like geology and evolution were coming to light. And so he's probably fascinated by what he read. And what he knew and what he learned. And the fact that the Earth has an immense age when compared to humanity's smallness. Remember, he's a nihilist. Makes you seem insignificant, right? It's cosmic. I guess it's like cosmic insignificance. You can kind of feel it. Let's go dive in.
When at last I awoke, it was to discover myself half sucked into a slimy expanse of hellish black mire, which extended about me in monotonous undulations as far as I could see, and in which my boat lay grounded some distance away. Though one might well imagine that my first sensation would be of wonder at so prodigious and unexpected a transformation of scenery, I was in reality more horrified than astonished, for there was in the air and in the rotting soil a sinister quality which chilled me to the very core. The region was putrid with the carcasses of decaying fish and of other less describable things which I saw protruding from the nasty mud of the unending plain. Perhaps I should not hope to convey in mere words the unutterable hideousness that can dwell in absolute silence and barren immensity. There was nothing within hearing, and nothing in sight save a vast reach of black slime. Yet the very completeness of the stillness and the homogeneity of the landscape oppressed me with a nauseating fear. The sun was blazing down from a sky which seemed to me almost black in its cloudless cruelty, as though reflecting the inky marsh beneath my feet.
That's... To me, this is just an idea, but this slime plane that he's been transported to me, is this something that he thinks it is, that it is an upheaval he's still on Earth? Are you sure? Is he sure? Is he still on Earth? We don't know. But he makes an assumption that something has happened, and a geological event in the middle of the ocean, and that the return of a primordial time has been made real, visceral. Apparently, Lovecraft found that really creepy. I kind of do, and I kind of don't at the same time. I find it fascinating. Probably because I'm not a nihilist. But if these are assets that the creator or the developer made themselves, it's quite fascinating. So, like, they did a good job. I mean, like, I wish there was more of them, like little tiny chronoids or, what do you call them? Prehistoric crustaceans and other animals. Coral. There, thank you. I had to think about that one.
As I crawled into the stranded boat, I realized that only one theory could explain my position. Through some unprecedented volcanic upheaval, a portion of the ocean floor must have been thrown to the surface, exposing regions for which innumerable millions of years had lain hidden under unfathomable watery depths. So great was the extent of the new land which had risen beneath me that I could not detect the faintest noise of the surging ocean, straining my ears as I might. Nor were there any seafowl to prey upon the dead things.
Things. That's creepy.
For several hours I sat thinking or brooding in the boat, which lay upon its side and afforded a slight shade as the sun moved across the heavens. As the day progressed, the ground lost some of its stickiness and seemed likely to dry sufficiently for traveling purposes in a short time. That night I slept but little, and the next day I made for myself a pack containing food and water, preparatory to an overland journey in search of the vanished sea and possible rescue.
This sheer landscape, this sort of cosmic horror, humanity's insignificance against the vast landscape, ancient and incomprehensible powers. Possibly dimensional transporting powers, who knows? Or I like to think dimensional, but I don't think Lovecraft probably knew about that kind of concept, so it's more like a change of topography. But the ocean and the unknown, those are kind of key things that I think that, in my mind, I believe, are kind of a metaphor for the subconscious. And maybe just Lovecraftians. Lovecraft's subconscious. But let's dive in. Well, I mean, I have more to say, but let's listen.
On the third morning, I found the soil dry enough to walk upon with ease. The odor of the fish was maddening, but I was too much concerned with graver things to mind so slight an evil, and set out boldly for an unknown goal.
Unknown. That's nihilism. This landscape is nihilism. It's also pessimism. It's it's dark, it's slimy, it's disgusting. It probably smells awful. Awful. And I think around this time, from what I've read and having conversations with other people and reading other people's works on their ideas, I think Lovecraft was sort of developing a psychological outlook that I would say is sort of this weird combination of nihilism, pessimism, and then you took the scientific knowledge that he'd been learning at this time, and you kind of combine it with the vastness of the cosmos, and you end up with, I guess, cosmicism, the idea that human beings are as insignificant in the face of an indifferent universe, right? The world is vast. The universe is vast. Both are very complicated. Its life, throughout its lifespan, seem immense. There's almost beyond concept, right? And I guess if you combine that with his own personal loss of his father and the troubles he was experiencing with his family, it only brought in like a sense of alienation, a kind of loss and of faith of traditional religion, and just I think he's just wallowing in despair and awe at the same time. Slime.
All day I forged steadily westward, guided by a faraway hummock which rose higher than any other elevation on the rolling desert.
Oh, there's some fossils. They create some of these assets? Oh, these look special. Me, it just feels like maybe. I don't know. I mean, like, what is he being influenced by? I guess. Maybe he's reading and looking at fossils at the same time, and that's why he wrote this. Maybe he went to a museum and or some sort of exposition of an archaeologist's find of ancient life on Earth, and he's got his mind rolling. Oh, that's creepy. Oh, it's a whale. What's this? Holy mackerel. Look at that texture. Oh, no narrative. I was kind of surprised.
That night I encamped, and on the following day still travelled toward the hummock, though that object seemed scarcely nearer than when I had first espied it.
Is it undulating? That'd be funny if it was. Rather horrifying. What's this? Horrors of the Ocean, the creator of the Cthulhu mythos and the fictional underwater city of Real, was convinced that life could not exist at the bottom of the ocean because the water pressure would make it uninhabitable. Today we know that the darkest depths of the ocean are home to many spectacular and peculiar organisms. The deepest dwellings fish have been discovered thus far. The marinara snailfish can live about 8,000 meters or more. That's 26,000 feet below the ocean surface in a never-ending darkness at the hellish crushing pressures, hundreds of times stronger than those found at sea level. Upon glancing at the modern photos of the deep sea creatures, such as the anglerfish or the fangtooth or the viperfish, and they are truly Lovecraftian characteristics, it's hard not to find some irony in this. Is it anything? But I think that Lovecraft, he grew up, or at this point in time, he's a young adult probably, and he's encountering scientific materialism, right? Lovecraft's interest in the science and evolution obviously informs a great portion of this, and this depiction of prehistoric and alien creatures. And to suggest that what humanity calls divine is merely natural and ancient, right? That's an idea, especially at this time. Look at that. Did they create these assets? This is fantastic. Let's play.
By the fourth evening, I attained the base of the mound which turned out to be much higher than it had appeared from a distance, an intervening valley setting it out in sharper relief from the general surface. Too weary to ascend, I slept in the shadow of the hill. I know not why my dreams were so wild that night, but ere the waning and fantastically gibbous moon had risen far above the eastern plain, I was awake in a cold perspiration, determined to sleep no more. Such visions as I had experienced were too much for me to endure again, and in the glow of the moon I saw how unwise I had been to travel by day. Without the glare of the parching sun, my journey would have cost me less energy. Indeed, I now felt quite able to perform the ascent which had deterred me at sunset. Picking up my pack, I started for the crest of the eminence.
Ooh. We can play, but I kind of want to talk about certain things. So, I have a friend. He's a literary scholar. That's his area of study. He goes and actually gives lectures, or did, right? Oh, look, there's that symbol. So there must have been more than I missed. Anyways, I had a really nice discussion with him about Lovecraft and where he got a lot of his ideas from, or what influenced his ideas from. One of those is Edgar Allan Poe. It's kind of he kind of mimics Poe's confessional tone and descent into madness, right? A psychological horror. Those are themes set by Poe. And then Lord Dunsany is another author that Lovecraft pulls from. It was in his letters to other authors, and he describes how much he likes Dunsany's, and probably he enjoyed the dreamlike prose and mythic imagination from Dunsany's writing. So I believe that's where a lot of the influences can trace back to Dunsany. But I don't think people know this, but before Dagon was fiction, it started out as poetry, right? And that's where we have the connection with Dunsany, because Dunsany has a lot of prose and poetry kind of, writing. Before Dagon, he mostly wrote poetry, right? And then suddenly he decided to write Dagon. Did Dagon actually start out as a poem? Maybe. We don't know. There's no records of it. But before he did write poetry, and then during, probably from the encouragement of one of his author friends, he decides to write Dagon as his first attempt into modern, weird, fictional writing, right? And in my mind, this is it's sort of like his breaking out into what we like and love Lovecraft for. So, let me take a look. I don't see anything else. It's a narrative story.
I have said that the unbroken monotony of the rolling plain was a source of vague horror to me, but I think my horror was greater when I gained the summit of the mound and looked down the other side into an immeasurable pit or canyon, whose black recesses the moon had not yet soared high enough to illumine. I felt myself on the edge of the world, peering over the rim into a fathomless chaos of eternal night. Through my terror ran curious reminiscences of Paradise Lost and of Satan's hideous climb through the unfashioned realms of darkness. As the moon climbed higher in the sky, I began to see that the slopes of the valley were not quite so perpendicular as I had imagined.
He's at a precipice, almost. Interesting.
Ledges and outcroppings of rock afforded fairly easy footholds for a descent, whilst after a drop of only a few hundred feet, the declivity became very gradual.
I don't see any other...
Urged on by an impulse which I cannot definitely analyze, I scrambled with difficulty down the rocks and stood on the gentler slope beneath, gazing into the Stygian deeps, where no light had yet penetrated. All at once, my attention was captured by a vast and singular object on the opposite slope, which rose steeply about 100 yards ahead of me, an object that gleamed whitely in the newly bestowed rays of the ascending moon.
Very baritone. Slime, the primordial slime.
That it was merely a gigantic piece of stone, I soon assured myself, but I was conscious of a distinct impression that its contour and position were not altogether the work of nature. A closer scrutiny filled me with sensations I cannot express. For despite its enormous magnitude, and its position in an abyss which had yawned at the bottom of the sea since the world was young, I perceived beyond a doubt that the strange object was a well-shaped monolith, whose massive bulk had known the workmanship and perhaps the worship of living and thinking creatures. Dazed and frightened, yet not without a certain thrill of the scientist's or archaeologist's delight, I examined my surroundings more closely.
Interesting. Ooh.
The moon, now near the zenith, shone weirdly and vividly above the towering steeps that hemmed in the chasm, and revealed the fact that a far-flung body of water flowed at the bottom, winding out of sight in both directions and almost lapping my feet as I stood on the slope. Across the chasm, the wavelets washed the base of the Cyclopean monolith, on whose surface I could now trace both inscriptions and crude sculptures.
Interesting.
The writing was in a system of hieroglyphics unknown to me and unlike anything I'd ever seen in books, consisting for the most part of conventionalized aquatic symbols such as fishes, eels, octopi, crustaceans, mollusks, whales, and the like. Several characters obviously represented marine things which are unknown to the modern world, but whose decomposing forms I had observed on the ocean-risen plain. It was the pictorial carving, however, that did most to hold me spellbound.
Carving. These are... I was imagining something a little bit more like a bas-relief. Storytelling methods. Dagon contains many themes and storytelling methods that Lovecraft developed in his later works, such as telling the story through carvings at the Mountains of Madness and Nameless City. This developer is a fan of Lovecraft, I can tell you that. Journals and character notes. In the shadows. Shadow Out of Time, The Hunter of the Dark. Islands emerging from the ocean. Call of Cthulhu, or fictional beings and deities based on events and mythologies. Migo, Whisper in the Darkness. It's also considered the origin of the popular Cthulhu mythos. Some of the Lovecraft's other stories conclude in a manner similar to Dagon, but let's skip to the details as to not spoil the ending. Let's say.
Plainly visible across the intervening water on account of their enormous size were an array of bas-reliefs whose subjects would have excited the envy of a doré. I think that these things were supposed to depict men, at least a certain sort of men, though the creatures were shown disporting like fishes in the waters of some marine grotto, or paying homage at some monolithic shrine which appeared to be under the waves as well. Of their faces and forms I dare not speak in detail, for the mere remembrance makes me grow faint, grotesque beyond the imagination of a Poe or a Bulwer. They were damnably human in general outline, despite webbed hands and feet, shockingly wide and flabby lips, glassy, bulging eyes, and other features less pleasant to recall. Curiously enough, they seem to have been chiseled badly out of proportion with their scenic background, for one of the creatures was shown in the act of killing a whale, represented as but little larger than himself. I remarked, as I say, their grotesqueness and strange size, but in a moment decided that they were merely the imaginary gods of some primitive fishing or seafaring tribe. Some tribe whose last descendant had perished eras before the first ancestor of the Piltdown or Neanderthal man was born.
By the way, you don't know, Dore, when he mentions Dore, I'm guessing here, I think he's mentioning Gustave Doré, who was a very prolific French illustrator, artist, sculptor, etc. And he, in the 1800s, 1883 was, or 1880s, 1870s, but I think it's because he was so prolific and the topics that he did art in, Dore did art in, probably influenced Lovecraft a lot. Else why would he mention him? Oh, look, there's this guy and then the whale. See, in my mind, it's a little bit more like kind of like Greco-Roman reliefs where they're doing things or like fighting or worshiping or whatever on those frescoes, I guess. But this one's an interesting interpretation.
This unexpected glimpse into a past beyond the conception of the most daring anthropologist. I stood musing whilst the moon cast queer reflections on the silent channel before me. Then, suddenly, I saw it.
Did you
With
see?
only a slight churning to mark its rise to the
There
surface,
she is.
the thing slid into view above the dark waters. Vast, polyphemus-like and loathsome, it darted like a stupendous monster of nightmares to the monolith, about which it flung its gigantic scaly arms, the while it bowed its hideous head and gave vent to certain measured sounds. I think I went mad then. Of my frantic ascent of the slope and cliff, and of my delirious journey back to the stranded boat, I remember little.
I think he failed his sand check. That's the game. Sorry about that. The tabletop role-playing game. But I think he's trying to explain how this character, within his fragile mind, confronted an incomprehensible vision, and what would happen if it did happen that way.
I believe I sang a great deal and laughed oddly when I was unable to sing.
I wonder if he got those sort of ideas of madness and insanity from when his father went mad and was committed to a hospital. And I could only imagine as a young boy or as a teenager or young adult when he decided to visit his father up to the days leading to his father's death. Did he witness such things in a mental institution or asylum? Probably. Am I speculating? Oh, absolutely, 100%. I don't know. This man lived 100 years ago.
I have indistinct recollections of a great storm sometime after I reached the boat. At any rate, I know that I heard peals of thunder and other tones which nature utters only in her wildest moods. When I came out of the shadows, I was in a San Francisco hospital, brought thither by the captain of the American ship which had picked up my boat in mid-ocean. In my delirium, I had said much, but found that my words had been given scant attention. Of any land upheaval in the Pacific, my rescuers knew nothing, nor did I deem it necessary to insist upon a thing which I knew they could not believe.
Oh, what's this? A journalist. Lovecraft was a prominent figure in the world of amateur journalism. In 1915, he started publishing his own journal called The Conservative, which included political and social commentary, poetry, short stories, and literary criticism written by him and other authors. Howard was a skilled wordsmith, but he also took criticism to heart, which resulted in his decision to step away from writing poetry. There you go. This person knew about that. And concentrating on weird fiction again. For the first time since his teenage years, Dagon was published in 1919, one of the short stories written during that period. In this excerpt, The Conservative, the master of horror fiction explains his attitude towards warfare and the ideal of world peace. Why any sane human? No, I shouldn't do that. Sorry about that. Why any sane human being can believe in the possibility of universal peace is more than the conservative can fathom. Would the entire civilized world agree simultaneously to disarm one or more nations, would undoubtedly retain secret armaments, and the other at the proper time take advantage of their more altruistic and less astute contemporary, sorry about that, in a wild career of conquest against unarmed victims. No country is, or ever can be, above warfare, until the basic impulses of the human animal shall have miraculously changed. Right. It's in our nature, he's saying, to survive in that fashion. So I'm wondering how much I missed. So I have been missing these. I didn't realize I could click on them. So maybe I should go back and play the game again? That'd be cool. And kind of just be a little bit more astute in trying to find these particular Easter eggs. In 1921, Lovecraft released a series of 3 essays. The deference reopens, the deference remains open, and the final words. Later published is a collection entitled The Deference of Dagon, in which he rebuked the series of criticisms directed at his works. Some notable quotes. I paint and what I dream, and I will let the public settle the rest amongst themselves. Mr. Murray asks the reason of d'etre of Dagon. I will give it, pure and simply to reproduce a mood. Its object is the simplest in all art portrayal. The physical horrors of war, no matter how extreme and unprecedented, hardly have a bearing on the entirely different realm of the supernatural terror. Ghosts are still ghosts, and the mind can get more thrills from unrealities than from realities. In the essays, Lovecraft touches upon the topics of atheism, materialism, and the quest for truth and the love of science. Anything else in here? Oh, there is. Wow, see, I didn't even know that until now. The atheist. Yeah, I was thinking he was starting to become an atheist. Lovecraft considered himself an atheist and absolute materialist, which he attributed partly to his childhood's interest in astronomy and science, and in general, his own words, "I am indeed an absolute materialist as far as the actual belief goes, with not a shred of credence to any form of supernaturalism, religion, spiritualism, transcendentalism, metaphysics, or more immortality. All I can say is that I think it is damned unlikely that anything like a central cosmic will or spirit world or an eternal survival of personality exists. They are the most preposterous and unjustified of all the guesses which can be made about the universe, and I am not enough of a hair splitter to pretend that I don't regard them as an errant and negligible moonshine. In theory, I am an agnostic, but pending the appearance of a radical evidence, I must be classified practically, provisionally, as an atheist. There you go. Sources: Against Religion, the Atheist Writings of H.P. Lovecraft. Mythos, The Myths and the Tales of H.P. Lovecraft and Robert E. Howard. Oh, that's right. They used to be friends and write to each other quite a bit. I used to love the horrors of H.P. Robert Howard.
Once I sought out a celebrated ethnologist and amused him with peculiar questions regarding the ancient Philistine legend of Dagon, the fish god.
And now I'm searching for everything and anything that I could possibly find. Aha! So much here. Dagon was the main deity of the Philistines, worshipped throughout the Middle East as the ancient god of fertility and crops. In Hebrew, the word Dagon was commonly a noun for grain. The rulers of Akkad, Mesopotamia, chose him as the patron saint of their war conquests. He also appeared as the judge of the dead in an Assyrian poem, and an underworld prison warder in one of the Babylonian texts. He is often mistaken for a fish god due to the wrong interpretation of his name, as in the Hebrew word for dog means fish. In H.P. Lovecraft's works, Dagon is an underwater deity ruling over the deep ones, the humanoid race with fish traits. Besides, resides in the ocean. He is worshipped by a secret cult called the Esoteric Order of Dagon. Okay. More secrets.
But soon perceiving that he was hopelessly conventional, I did not press my inquiries.
A marketer. Lovecraft's attempts to find a job in 1925 were influenced by advice he received from friends. Among others, he stated freelancing for a marketing magazine where he would write announcements and commercials. Feel free to judge his copywriting skills yourself. From an ad, Curtis Woodworth. Curtis Woodworth embraces both the unusual structural units and the cleverest contrivances of built-in or permanent furniture, such as bookcases, dressers, buffets, and cupboards. Every model is conceived and created with the purest art, ripest scholarship, and the mellowest of craftsmanship, which energetic enterprise can command, and made to conform rigidly to the architecture of each particular type of home. The cost, considering the quality, is amazingly low, and the trademark on the individual pieces prevents any substitution by careless contractors. Lovecraft Studies, Volume 70. Well, I'm glad that they listed. I like it when they list a kind of a bibliography. What's this one? August Derleth and the Cthulhu Mythos. August Derleth was an American writer and anthologist. I think it's anthologist. I almost said anthropologist, which is different. Anthologist. He also befriended Lovecraft and published many of his works through his company Arkham House. Although he greatly contributed to the popularization of authors' works after his death, he is surrounded by numerous controversies. One of his most questionable decisions involved introducing good versus evil doctrine. Derleth was a devout Catholic to the Cthulhu mythos, which contrasted with Lovecraftian's view of the world and his approach to cosmic horror. As a result, the author's works were often misunderstood and misinterpreted in today's culture. It is also worth noting that Lovecraft was never really interested in creating a mythology, and the term Cthulhu mythos was coined by Derleth after the author left the mortal plane. I see. The Necronomicon. Anything else? I didn't realize how much I could interact with the environment. I thought it was pretty much a sort of a graphic novelization. Oh, there it is. A scientist. These days, the word scientist is a widely accepted term, but at the time Dagon was published, it was subjected to a wide debate. After the author used it in the story, critics pointed out that the man of science was a more appropriate term to employ. He admitted in defense of Dagon that if Dagon were to be reprinted, he would be indeed use the phrase they suggested. Scientist was coined as an analog to artist, to be used when referring to those studying different branches of science. Yet, in the 19th century, early 20th century, scientific researchers in Great Britain and in the United States were of the opinion that man of science, resembling the term man of letters, was the only proper choice among other things. It was gender specific, indicating that science was an endeavor to be pursued only by one sex. The term scientist became more adapted only after World War II, and man of science started fading into obscurity as an old-fashioned synonym.
It is at night, especially when the moon is gibbous and waning, that I see the thing. I tried morphine, but the drug has given only transient surcease, and has drawn me into its clutches as a hopeless slave. So now, I am to end it all, having written a full account for the information or the contemptuous amusement of my fellow men.
Oh. What's this? Lovecraft on tobacco and alcohol. Lovecraft hated tobacco, even though he used to smoke when he was 12 in order to look and feel like an adult. In his correspondence with a friend, Reinhard Kleiner, he claims that he quit as soon as he started wearing long pants. He also had a very strong opinion about alcohol, as evidenced by his letter to Zelia Brown, dated 13th of February 1928. As for the matter of drinking, I have never tasted intoxicating liquor, and never intend to. Having strong aesthetic disgust at anything which blunts or coarsens the delicate nature and natural equipoise of the evolved human intellects and imagination. Drinking excited my personal repugnance, hence I don't drink. Let the herd do what they will. I am rather in favor of prohibition, the prohibition of any antisocial force. Anyone antisocial force is as well as any other. From the Spirit of Revision, Lovecraft's letters to Zelia Brown, Bishop, Reed Bishop, H.P. Lovecraft, Sean Laney, Andrew. Okay. Ah, there it is. Elder sign. At another house where people were stirring, he asked the question about the gods and whether they danced often upon Laron, but the farmer and his wife could only make out the elder sign and tell him that the way to Nir and Ulthar, the Dream Quest of Unknown Kadath by H.P. Lovecraft. The elder sign is a protective symbol that can be found in various works of pop culture, usually represented by a 5-pointed star with an eye flame symbol at its center. For example, in games inspired by H.P. Lovecraft's writings, it is supposed to ward away any kind of cosmic horrors. However, this is a latter version of the sign created by the author's friend, writer Auguste Deleuze. In our game, we have used the original symbol as designed by Lovecraft in the form of a 6-pointed branch, which he sometimes included in his letters to his friends. No, it's gone. Oh well.
Often, I ask myself if it could not all have been a pure phantasm, a mere freak of fever, as I lay sun-stricken and raving in the open boat after my escape from the German man-of-war. This I ask myself, but ever does there come before me a hideously vivid vision in reply. I cannot think of the deep sea without shuddering at the nameless things that may at this very moment be crawling and floundering on its slimy bed, worshipping their ancient stone idols and carving their own detestable likenesses on submarine obelisks of water-soaked granite. I dream of a day when they may rise above the billows to drag down into their reeking talons the remnants of puny, war-exhausted mankind. Of a day when the land shall sink and the dark ocean shall ascend amidst universal pandemonium.
Whoa, creepy.
The end is near. I hear a noise at the door, as of some immense slippery body lumbering against it.
Wow. Oh, he's blocked out the door. Living in squalor. See any other things I can click on? Nope, I don't. That's sad.
It shall
Should have put the bed against the door.
That hand! The window! The window!
Oops. Thank God they blurred it. Thank you for playing. More like reading to me. Oh, look! I didn't know they had more stuff. That's cool. Now I have to, like, see what kind of achievements I got. Did I get all of them? No, I missed a couple. Find all the trivia pieces in the game. I missed a couple. Alright. Should we go for completionist? Or is it going to exit out of the game? Or going to bring me back into the main menu? That's delightful. I really like the little...
And scary stories have been accompanying men for centuries. They have many faces and forms. But what is their purpose? Why do we enjoy being afraid so much? During our therapy, I'll try to...
Dr. Emerson's Nocturnes. We will guide you through the colors of dread. Ooh. Hungry for more? Nice little ad. So we're missing a couple. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 that we're missing. We can unlock it. Oh, no, let's go back. Let's try to find them. And this time we'll, well, let's start it from the beginning. We'll play it one more time.
I am writing this under an appreciable mental strain, since by tonight I shall be no more.
Sardines. Ah, there we go. Lovecraft's letters. As to the letters, my case is peculiar. I write such things exactly and easily as rapidly as I would utter the same topics in conversation. Indeed, expression, with me largely, replacing conversation as my condition of nervous prostration, becomes more and more acute. I cannot bear to talk much now, and am becoming as silent as a spectre himself. My loquacity extends itself on paper. H.P. Lovecraft to Reinhard Kleiner, December 23rd, 1917. Throughout his life, Lovecraft penned around 100,000 letters. Wow! 100,000. Good morning, Dirk. It's doing great. It's more of an interactive, I want to say it's not a novel. It's more of an interactive exposition, I guess, about Lovecraft and Dagon. So, there's a bunch of these letters, and I missed a couple, so I'm going to go back and play the game again. It doesn't take that long. I had a bunch of ideas that I wanted to talk about and to explain. I did talk about them on my first playthrough, which I really shouldn't have done that. But then again, I have been a fan of Lovecraft for so long, and have had friends who are also equally a fan of Lovecraft, that we talk about this stuff pretty regularly, and it, to me, it was just like second nature to start talking about it and what I know. So, throughout his life, Lovecraft penned around 100,000 letters. Dang. I have not read all 100,000 letters. I have read only a few. To his friends and fans, out of which about 10% survive. Wow, so only... But his tendency to endless correspondence was a relatively late growth. Oh, interesting. In youth, I scarcely did any letter writing. Thanking anybody for any present was so much more of an ordeal that I would rather have written a 250-line pastoral or a 20-page treatise on the rings of Saturn. Selected letters of 1929 to 1931 H.P. Lovecraft. Lovecraft would often skip meals to afford postage. Wow. That's crazy. That postage cost as much as a meal. Collections of correspondence have been published in various books, and selected letters can be found online. Some readers consider them his most important legacy. Anything else? No, so I'm looking for missed sort of trivia dialogue.
Penniless, and at the end of my...
There we go. I'm going to speed
Do not
forward. I
think from my
apologize.
slavery to morphine that
If you
I
rather
am
listen, let me
clean or
know.
degenerate. When you have read these hastily scrawled pages, you may guess, though never fully realize, why it is that I must have forgetfulness or death.
All right. Did I miss anything? Well, there was one on this door. I read this one. It was about morphine. We'll just play on through.
It was in one of the most open and least frequented parts of the broad Pacific that the packet of which I was supercargo fell a victim to the German sea raider.
I'm looking. Ah, there it is. Lovecraft and the Great War. Dagon was written about a month after the United States entered the World War I. Lovecraft was actively interested in its course. He composed many poems in which he gave encouragement to soldiers and commented on the events unfolding in Europe. He tried to enlist in the army, which he mentions in one of his letters to Reinhard Kleiner. Some time ago, impressed by my entire uselessness in the world, I resolved to attempt enlistment despite my almost invalid condition. I argued that if I chose a regiment soon to depart for France, my sheer nervous force is not inconsiderable might sustain me till a bullet or piece of shrapnel would more convulsively and effectively dispose of me. Letters to Reinhard Kleiner. But even though he passed the physical exam, his mother prevented him from going to the war. She has threatened to go to many lengths, legal or otherwise, if I do not reveal all the ills which unfit me for the army. I am Providence. The life and times of H.P. Lovecraft, T.S.T. Josh. Okay. Interesting. I didn't know he tried to enlist. It's a piece of information that we never really discussed.
The Great War was then at its very beginning, and the ocean forces of the Hun had not completely sunk to their later degradation, so that our vessel was made a legitimate prize, whilst we of her crew were treated with all the fairness and consideration due us as naval prisoners.
So I already clicked on that one. Click on it again. Basically, it's about how Germans of World War I were given the nickname of Hun.
So liberal, indeed, was the discipline of our captors, that 5 days after we were taken, I managed to escape alone in a small boat with water and provisions for a good length of time.
I don't see any here. We'll push on.
When I finally found myself adrift and free, I had but little idea of my surroundings. Never a competent navigator, I could only guess vaguely by the sun and stars that I was somewhat south of the equator. Of the longitude, I knew nothing, and no island or coastline was in sight.
Anything? I don't see any precious things to click on.
The weather kept fair, and for uncounted days I drifted aimlessly beneath the scorching sun, waiting either for some passing ship or to be cast on the shores of some habitable land.
Let's see. Ah, there's the one I missed. The Return to Short Stories. Dagon was written in July 1917 and first published in 1919 in The Vagrant, an amateur magazine focused on supernatural. The story is the first of his stories that introduced an element from the Call of Cthulhu mythos. Dagon itself, a pagan cult worshipping Dagon, later appears in The Shadow over Innsmouth, one of Lovecraft's most popular works. In 1917, is also the year he wrote The Tomb, a story about Jarvis Dudley, a daydreamer who discovers a mysterious mausoleum in the woods by his house and becomes obsessed with it. Obsession is kind of an understatement there, having read it. These two works marked Lovecraft's return to short story writing after he burned most of his attempts at the genre 9 years prior and decided to concentrate on poetry. Lovecraft stated that it was his friend William Paul Cook, a literary publisher and critic, who convinced him to start writing weird fiction again. That's really interesting. Okay, back. Let's see.
But neither ship nor land appeared, and I began to despair in my solitude upon the heaving vastness of unbroken blue. The change happened whilst I slept. Its details I shall never know, for my slumber, though troubled and dream-infested, was continuous. When at last I awoke, it was to discover myself half sucked into a slimy expanse of hellish black mire, which extended about me in monotonous undulations as far as I could see, and in which my boat lay grounded some distance away. Though one might well imagine that my first sensation would be of wonder at so prodigious and unexpected a transformation of scenery, I was in reality more horrified than astonished. For there was in the air and in the rotting soil a sinister quality which chilled me to the very core. The region was putrid with the carcasses of decaying fish and of other less describable things which I saw protruding from the nasty mud of the unending plain. Perhaps I should not hope to convey in mere words the unutterable hideousness that can dwell in absolute silence and barren immensity. There was nothing within hearing and nothing in sight save a vast reach of black slime. Yet the very completeness of the stillness and the homogeneity of the landscape oppressed me with a nauseating fear. The sun was blazing down from a sky which seemed to me almost black in its cloudless cruelty, as though reflecting the inky marsh beneath my feet.
Okay, I'm looking for elder signs. Ah, I didn't even see that one before. Origins of Dagon. Dagon seems to be inspired by Fishhead, a short novel by Ivan S. Cobb about the unnatural affinities between the hybrid idiot and the Strange fish of an isolated lake, supernatural horror and literature, H.P. Lovecraft, and Lovecraft's dream about a strange island emerging from the ocean and him crawling in the ooze that covered its surface. As written, I dreamed that whole hideous crawl, and can yet feel the ooze sucking me down in defense of Dagon, H.P. Lovecraft. Lovecraft's interest in the topic stemmed from his aversion to fish and sea smells. In his own words, I have hated fish and feared the sea and everything connected with it since I was 2 years old, but I cannot recall what earlier experience gave me such a profound, lasting aversion to the sea and seafood. Dweller in the Darkness, Lovecraft, 1927, Donald Wandre. Interesting. I mean, like, you grew up in Rhode Island, right? Providence, isn't that like a seaside area? I can't remember. I don't think I've actually been to Providence. I went to Rhode Island for a brief moment. It's such a tiny state. And that was on my way to Massachusetts. I can only imagine. Alright. Well, that was fun. I didn't find that one. Let's see, anything else? They're still writhing. Is that a trilobite? Or is it an attempt to be a trilobite?
As I crawled into the stranded boat, I realized that only one theory could explain my position. Through some unprecedented volcanic upheaval, a portion of the ocean floor must have been thrown to the surface, exposing regions for which innumerable millions of years had lain hidden under unfathomable watery depths. So great was the extent of the new land which had risen beneath me that I could not detect the faintest noise of the surging ocean, straining my ears as I might, nor were there any seafowl to prey upon the dead things.
Like, why would he be so afraid of fish and seafood and hate seafood? Just the smell, maybe? This looks like a cod or a flounder, or could be a halibut. Hard to say. Ah, there it is. Wow, that's the mystery of volcanic islands. Volcanic eruptions sometimes result in the creation of islands. Most of them are transient and erode after some time, but some are permanent. The floating pumice porous rock created when superheated pressurized rock is ejected from a volcano can move across long distances and transport barnacles and microalgae that cling to it. In 2001, rafts made of pumice created during the eruption of a volcano near Tonga, a Polynesian island, eventually reached Australia. Interesting. Anything else? Did I miss any?
For several hours I sat thinking or brooding in the boat, which lay upon its side and afforded a slight shade as the sun moved across the heavens. As the day progressed, the ground lost some of its stickiness and seemed likely to dry sufficiently for traveling purposes in a short time. That night I slept but little, and the next day I made for myself a pack containing food and water, preparatory to an overland journey in search of the vanished sea and possible rescue.
Any other items to click on? Nope, that's it.
On the third morning, I found the soil dry enough to walk upon with ease. The odor of the fish was maddening, but I was too much concerned with graver things to mind so slight an evil, and set out boldly for an unknown goal.
I mean, Rhode Island is a maritime culture. Maybe he was just fed up as a child. I don't see any other elder signs anywhere. You probably look. I'm looking. Nope.
All day I forged steadily westward, guided by a faraway hummock which rose higher than any other elevation on the rolling desert.
Whatever that is looks really creepy. I don't see any other. Like a pixel hunt. I'm trying to find all the secrets. There's a whale. Claw. A spiny claw.
That night I encamped, and on the following day still travelled toward the hummock, though that object seemed scarcely nearer than when I had first espied it.
Ah, did we click on this one? Horrors of the Ocean. I think we did. Yes. Right, it talks about the irony of how today we've discovered deep-sea creatures at a depth of 8,000 meters or more. But he himself, Lovecraft, didn't think they could exist because of the immense pressure. That's right.
By the fourth evening, I attained the base of the mound, which turned out to be much higher than it had appeared from a distance, an intervening valley setting it out in sharper relief from the general surface. Too weary to ascend, I slept in the shadow of the hill. I know not why my dreams were so wild that night, but ere the waning and fantastically gibbous moon had risen far above the eastern plain, I was awake in a cold perspiration, determined to sleep no more. Such visions as I had experienced were too much for me to endure again, and in the glow of the moon I saw how unwise I had been to travel by day. Without the glare of the parching sun, my journey would have cost me less energy. Indeed, I now felt quite able to perform the ascent which had deterred me at sunset. Picking up my pack, I started for the crest of the eminence.
Ah, there's one. Ah. The loner. Contrary to popular opinion, Lovecraft was not ever frowning, eccentric, grumpy loner. He considered himself to be a person who appreciated humor. Moreover, he would often meet with friends in his apartment or at various cafes in Brooklyn and Manhattan. At times, his social life was so intensive, his work would suffer for months. There was a point when he finally decided he needed to put an end to the daily meetings and loitering in New York cafeterias, and resorted to hiding at home and reading with the main room light turned off, pretending that he wasn't there whenever a friend knocked on his door. He also had another method of deterring his guests, which involved greeting them in a bathrobe and an unmade bed visible in the background, and piles of papers scattered across the floor. It's pretty funny. I kind of want to know where they got that particular trivia from is does Lovecraft actually write about that? Or did his friends write about that about him? We're finding them. Hooray.
I have said that the unbroken monotony of the rolling plain was a source of vague horror to me. But I think my horror was greater when I gained the summit of the mound and looked down the other side into an immeasurable pit or canyon, whose black recesses the moon had not yet soared high enough to illumine. I felt myself on the edge of the world, peering over the rim into a fathomless chaos of eternal night. Through my terror ran curious reminiscences of Paradise Lost and of Satan's hideous climb through the unfashioned realms of darkness. As the moon climbed higher in the sky, I began to see that the slopes of the valley were not quite so perpendicular as I had imagined.
We are looking for elder signs.
Ledges and outcroppings of rock afforded fairly easy footholds for a descent, whilst after a drop of only a few hundred feet, the declivity became very gradual.
Ah, no, that one I've seen. Okay, that's just forward. I don't see any.
Urged on by an impulse which I cannot definitely analyze, I scrambled with difficulty down the rocks and stood on the gentler slope beneath, gazing into the Stygian deeps, where no light had yet penetrated. All at once, my attention was captured by a vast and singular object on the opposite slope, which rose steeply about 100 yards ahead of me, an object that gleamed whitely in the newly bestowed rays of the ascending moon.
Alright. Don't see any more elder signs. Can I click on this? No. Okay.
That it was merely a gigantic piece of stone, I soon assured myself, but I was conscious of a distinct impression that its contour and position were not altogether the work of nature. A closer scrutiny filled me with sensations I cannot express.
Trying to find it. But, let's push in.
Despite its enormous magnitude and its position in an abyss which had yawned at the bottom of the sea since the world was young, I perceived beyond a doubt that the strange object was a well-shaped monolith, whose massive bulk had known the workmanship and perhaps the worship of living and thinking creatures. Dazed and frightened, yet not without a certain thrill of the scientist's or archaeologist's delight, I examined my surroundings more closely.
I should have done that on the first playthrough. Try to find those little elder sign things. I didn't know I could click on them. I think it told me, but I just ignored it. That's my fault.
The moon, now near the zenith, shone weirdly and vividly above the towering steeps that hemmed in the chasm, and revealed the fact that a far-flung body of water flowed at the bottom, winding out of sight in both directions and almost lapping my feet as I stood on the slope. Across the chasm, the wavelets washed the base of the Cyclopean monolith, on whose surface I could now trace both inscriptions and crude sculptures.
I don't see any here.
The writing was in a system of hieroglyphics unknown to me and unlike anything I'd ever seen in books, consisting for the most part of conventionalized aquatic symbols such as fishes, eels, octopi, crustaceans, mollusks, whales, and the like. Several characters obviously represented marine things which are unknown to the modern world, but whose decomposing forms I had observed on the ocean-risen plain. It was the pictorial carving, however, that did most to hold me spellbound.
So I think I got this one.
Plainly visible across the intervening water, on account of their enormous size, were an array of bas-reliefs whose subjects would have excited the envy of a doré. I think that these things were supposed to depict men, at least a certain sort of men, though the creatures were shown disporting like fishes in the waters of some marine grotto, or paying homage at some monolithic shrine which appeared to be under the waves as well. Of their faces and forms I dare not speak in detail, for the mere remembrance makes me grow faint, grotesque beyond the imagination of a Poe or a Bulwer. They were damnably human in general outline, despite webbed hands and feet, shockingly wide and flabby lips, glassy, bulging eyes, and other features less pleasant to recall. Curiously enough, they seemed to have been chiseled badly out of proportion with their scenic background, for one of the creatures was shown in the act of killing a whale, represented as but little larger than himself. I remarked, as I say, their grotesqueness and strange size, but in a moment decided that they were merely the imaginary gods of some primitive fishing or seafaring tribe. Some tribe whose last descendant had perished eras before the first ancestor of the Piltdown or Neanderthal man was born.
Ooh. Piltdown. Ah, there's the last one. The Piltdown Man. Lovecraft would often use the latest scientific discoveries as inspiration for his work. He would have even updated his stories at the last moment in order to make sure they reflected the latest breakthroughs. Unfortunately, this method was not without its flaws. After Lovecraft's death, the Piltdown Man discovery mentioned in Dagon turned out to be a paleoanthropological fraud. In 1912, Charles Dawson, an amateur archaeologist, announced that he had discovered the missing link between ape and man, the fossilized remains of a previously unknown early human. Years later, it turned out to be forgery, but by that point, the fraud had already managed to negatively affect early research on human evolution. In the year when the discovery took place, a majority of the scientific community believed that Dawson indeed found the missing link. In 1953, the Time magazine published evidence proving that Dawson was a con man. It turned out that the fossils that the previously unknown early human consisted of a human skull and the jaw of an orangutan and chimpanzee.
Awestruck at this unexpected glimpse into a past beyond the conception of the most daring anthropologist, I stood musing whilst the moon cast queer reflections on the silent channel before me. Then, suddenly, I saw it. With only a slight churning to mark its rise to the surface, the thing slid into view above the dark waters. Fiend-like and loathsome, it darted like a stupendous monster of nightmares to the monolith, about which it flung its gigantic scaly arms, the while it bowed its hideous head and gave vent to certain measured sounds. I think I went mad then. Of my frantic ascent of the sloping cliff and of my delirious journey back to the stranded boat, I remember little.
Oh, okay. Looking for more stuff? I think I got them all.
I believe I sang a great deal and laughed oddly when I was unable to sing. I have indistinct recollections of a great storm sometime after I reached the boat.
think that achievement was indicating to me that I did find everything.
When I came out of the shadows, I was in a San Francisco hospital, brought thither by the captain of the American ship which had picked up my boat in mid-ocean. In my delirium, I had said much, but found that my words had been given scant attention. Of any land upheaval in the Pacific, my rescuers knew nothing, nor did I deem it necessary to insist upon a thing which I knew they could not believe.
I got that one. Right. I got this one? Oh, yeah. I did. I got that one as well.
Once I sought out a celebrated ethnologist and amused him with peculiar questions regarding the ancient Philistine legend of Dagon, the fish god.
Oh, yeah, this one. Right. Dagon. Like, I think it mentions, hold on. Oh, I can't bring it back up again. That's sad. But anyways, the piece of paper said that.
Perceiving that he was hopelessly conventional, I did not press my inquiries.
I think Dagon originally was, and it's spelled incorrectly. I think it was a mistranslation from Dagon from Dagon. Dagon. Dagon? Yeah, Dagan is grain or some kind of grain. And that little piece of excerpt mentions that the origins of Dagon as an agricultural deity probably started in Mesopotamia, and it appears in texts dating back from like 2500 BC or older or something like that. And I got that one. Did I get this? A scientist. Oh, yes, I did. Gaiman. I think Dagon was worshipped by Arcadians, Babylonians.
Night, especially when the moon is gibbous and waning, but I see the thing. I tried morphine, but the drug has given only transient surcease, and has drawn me into its clutches as a hopeless slave. So now I am to end it all, having written a full account for the information or the contemptuous amusement of my fellow men.
But anyways, Dagon was worshipped as a side deity, I think. I'm not 100% sure. I just remember what I'm reading. So I think we got that one as well. By Akkadians, Babylonians, Assyrians, and Amorites? Huh. But I know of the Philistine adoption, the Philistines, who lived upon the coast of Canaan around 1200 BC, adopted Dagon, or Dagon, whatever you pronounce it, as their chief deities, one of their chief deities. And they had major temples to that particular god in cities of Gaza and Ashdod. So I find history very fascinating and collect pieces of information like candy.
Often, I ask myself if it could not all have been a pure phantasm, a mere freak of fever, as I lay sun-stricken and raving in the open boat, after my escape from the German man of war. This I ask myself, but ever does there come before me a hideously vivid vision in reply. I cannot think of the deep sea without shuddering at the nameless things that may at this very moment be crawling and floundering on its slimy bed, worshipping their ancient stone idols and carving their own detestable likenesses on submarine obelisks of
Creepy.
water-soaked granite. I dream of a day when they may rise above the billows to drag down into their reeking talons the remnants of puny, war-exhausted mankind. Of a day when the land shall sink and the dark ocean shall ascend amidst universal pandemonium.
Ew.
The end is near. I hear a noise at the door, as of some immense slippery body lumbering against it. It shall not find me. God, that hand! The window! The window!
The window. The window. Well, there we go. Dagon. No, I found all of them. Hooray. Railway horror. Last bottle. So I'll have to try those. Trivia. Piltdown Man. It's the Dagon one. Origins of Dagon. Yeah, okay. Morphine. Crafting the Huns. Storytelling methods loner. Horrors of the ocean. Dagon. There it is. Often mistaken for a fish god. Right. Actually, I think depending on which translation of the Bible, it actually mentions Dagon. Oh my gosh, I wonder if I can find it. Hold on. It should be easy. Anything on the internet about Bible and passages seems to be well cataloged. Oh, there we go. Yeah, there it is. Bam, instantly. Depending on the translation, it mentions Dagon. And in the Bible, it says, I think it was in Samuel. Yeah, it is Samuel. After the Philistines captured the Ark of the Covenant, they placed it in Dagon's temple in Ashdod. The next morning, the statue of Dagon has fallen face down before the Ark. They set it upright, but the following morning, it had fallen again, and the time with its head and hands had broken off. Interesting. And then there was another, here's another biblical references to Dagon. I think it's Judges? Yeah, Judges. This is where Simon dies. After being captured and blinded, Simon is brought to the temple of Dagon in Gaza to entertain the Philistines. He puts down the temple's pillars, killing himself and thousands of Philistines. So, obviously, you know, biblical God and Dagon don't mix. So, anyways, that was entertaining. Options. DLCs. Hold on. I'm gonna do a little quick, like, Eldritch Box. Railway horror. What? Is there more? Hold on, sorry about this. Oh, I see. It's just the whole thing for $11. Oh, okay. Alright. Fascinating. All right. Go back. And, you know, what should we play next? About a couple more minutes. Maybe an hour, depending on how I feel. See. Oh. Let's do Crime Scene Cleaner. There's a couple new maps that I really wanted to play. So. And tomorrow I'll play Phasmophobia with the new diner map. I didn't want to compete with pro streamers who are doing the badge thing. You hear that? It's pretty low. So let's do background music. Okay. Hopefully that's coming through. And then I'm going to quickly change my stream title. Give me a moment. There we go. I've changed the map, my stream title. All right, let's see if we can interact. Oh, I can pick stuff up. I forgot about that. What's this? This is new. Act 1, Community. Oh, there are no active. Check your email. All right. I have to go check my email. Open. Hey, doggy.
What's up, Dexter? Let me guess. Your tail?
All right. Doggy dog. We're back for more. Secret lab. Okay. Community. Secret lab. We are the community. We transform the world from behind the scenes. We have our eyes on you for a while, Mr. Kowalski. Your work was impeccable, so we are giving you the task of cleaning up one of our facilities. We had a serious breach of protocol, which resulted in the death and chaos. You do your best. Be diligent and discreet. Everything you witness shall be used against you. We are the community. If you are not with us, your days are numbered. But we'll get 10 grand. There's 13 bodies. Wow. Huge. Oh my gosh. Sure. Let's try this one. Game development hell. We are the community. Munity. Alright. You have been selected to work for us, Mr. Kowalski. We believe the Wild Heart CEO, when he said his team was going to create the perfect game. the most addictive entertainment product of all time. Sadly, the so-called Life Simulator project failed to meet our expectations. It didn't even reach the beta stage. We had opted for the ultimate restructuring, also known as the Purge. You, the best cleaner in your area, have the honor of tidying up this space. We are the community. If you are not with us, we'll make you regret you were conceived. 11 bodies. Alright, I've accepted the missions. We'll exit out. We'll head up to the car and head out. Oh wait, we should double check. Oh, what's the command to check? You have to remember. There we go. C. Alright. Codex. Skill tree. These look okay. Tools. These look alright. Water. Oh, okay. Let's do that for now. That seems fine. Ah, okay. So we have development hell and alter ego. Let's do development hell first.
It'll be a long night. Making games is no walk in the park. So many things can go wrong. People working for Wild at Heart's lost lives in the process, and their project still isn't in a launchable state. It would be a stretch to even call it a beta.
Open workspace. What do we have? We have dispose of bodies, 11. Delete correspondence, 4. Wipe all of the blood off. Collect all the evidence, 3. Get rid of the trash. Move furniture back to its original place, 39. Not too bad. Oh, yeah. There's our sink. Or faucet, which we need. Oh, yeah. Why don't we put out Mr. Cleaner? Oh boy, look at that.
Okay, let's see how game-making magic turns tragic.
What the hell died in here?
Okay, we'll leave him there for now. I forgot about this game, it's so funny. Buckets. Elevator. Oh, there's a downstairs too? I can kind of tell there's a downstairs because it's sort of indicates there's blood down below. The hell? Oh, it's locked. Alright. One more. I like having an extra bucket for rinsing. hell? Oh, it's just weird particles doing weird, strange effects. Okay. Now we'll do detergents. Oh no, not that one. We want the better ones.
Spare no one.
Sponges. What do we have? Oh boy, look at that. Oh yes, we have UV lights. There we go, that should help.
Death to the fall germs.
Graphic design was their passion.
I forgot about that. I should probably load up my there we go. Let's go back to garbage.
I still smell blood here.
What's this?
I am the victor.
Jackie Terrence, lead artist, and owner? Wild at heart. Hmm. Nope. I have to hold it for longer.
Judgment Day is coming soon.
Just go. Here? There we go. Come on. There we go.
I
It
know
won't
no
move
fear.
like this.
Do I need to move things? Tab. Is it because this is in the way?
Something is blocking the way.
What is blocking the way? Can I crouch? No, I can't crouch. Yes, I can crouch. There we go. So... Ah, okay. This is in the way. Where does it go?
Evil laughs. Ha 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 ha.
Ah, okay. Oops. I feel like a klutz. What else am I missing? So... Ah, okay.
Judgment Day is coming soon.
Missing a chair. So is this carpet? I think it's carpet. So it's best to use the sponges. Alright. So we'll take this. It's over here.
Evil laughs. Ha 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 ha.
Oh, are you done? Yeah, it looks like you are done. So we'll put you over here now?
I'm starting. Big Evil Sniff.
This go? Probably somewhere else.
Spare no one.
Rubberoonie. Oh, whoops. Clean. Oop. Oh wait, I have 2 sponges. I keep forgetting that. I have 2 sets.
I need to clear the way first.
Ah, okay. So we'll put this over here. And then we'll do some garbage pickup.
Death to the fall germs.
A sword?
Straight from
Really?
the Dark Ages. I need to find out who it belonged to.
Can I pick up this body? There we go. I don't know why it was so hard to pick up that body.
Some riders go out with a bang, but this one... Now, that's one for the books.
What are we missing? Can we put this back now? Yes. Oh, I have to hold it longer. Longer. Can these books be put away? Interesting, if we can. Did they really make these books assets? That's cool.
Death to the fall germs.
I feel like a klutz sometimes. It's like, oh my god, how pretentious.
Looks like he learned to stop worrying
My
and
work
fell
here
in
is
love
done.
with the bomb.
Hard heel hate fish. Okay, so we need to do this trash thing. Oops.
Give me a new enemy.
Time for a bag swap.
Alright. We have to put the books away too? It's a game award. Where does it go?
I know no fear.
Feel it. Am I being overly anal? Perhaps. But that's possibly part of the fun about this game. Forgotten Soldier. What's this book?
Evil laughs. Ha 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 ha.
Love. And what? Maze. Alright. Must go somewhere. I'll put it here for now. Oh, there's more books over here. Victory! Alright.
Give me a new enemy.
Give me a moment. Let me clean a path to where I need to go. I wish I could, but it won't let me. Well, I could probably do it a little bit manually. But there's like a couple books where I can't read what they are. That's so tiny. So like, and there's no author, and I would list them by author, not title of book.
Something's blocked the way.
Ha 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 ha.
Okay, so we need to grab this guy and bring him over here so we can see, and then we'll bring Grandpa Cleaner, or was it Devil Cleaner?
Good to see you.
Who are you?
I need to clear the way
Smells
first.
like ass.
Yes, it does, Grampy. Okay, I need to get that.
Oh, this takes me back to when air smelled like oil and beer.
Beer. Oil and beer. Okay. Is that slide? Who puts a slide in an office? I don't know.
It won't move like this.
Oh, okay. Come on. There we go.
Wait, what was I doing?
Oh, Grampy. Thunderoony.
Wax on, wax off. Breath in, breath out.
Yes, Mr. Miyagi. Garbage? Is this considered garbage? No, it's not. I don't even know what that is.
Something is blocking the way.
Chair. Where does it go? Oops.
This place smells like ass and bad decisions.
I need to clean it first. Oh, there's more stuff on the ground. Wow. Oops, no. Q. Half the game is trying to remember the controls. Oh, hold it. Don't let go until it's done.
Finished. You owe me, shitbag. Quit stinking up the place, you filthy bastard.
Where did the chairs go? Oh, they're going in the kitchen area? Is that what that is? Oh yeah, it is. Oh, it's dirty. Gotta clean it before we put it away. Click to hold. Click to hold.
Back in my day, we just opened windows.
Oh, okay. We should put these away too. Oh, there we go. What is this? It looks like it belongs somewhere. But I'll wash it. Oops. Dirty on the bottom.
What's all this noise? Oh,
There we go.
that's me.
I don't know where it goes. Huh. What is this? It's some sort of bolster? We'll take this and put it here for now. This also needs to go somewhere, but unsure where. I guess we'll go back into the kitchen area.
Back in my day, we
Let's
just
mop.
opened windows.
Okay. Well, mop-a-rooney now.
What's all this noise? Oh, that's me.
Okay. I got everything. Where do you go? Garbage can. Oh, there you go. There you go. There's this cup that needs to be cleaned. A wild heart.
My work here is done.
Oh, really? We'll take you and put you somewhere else? How about here?
This place smells like ass.
No, I don't have any of the. Oops. Hmm. Exhaust these
Back in my
sponges.
day, we just opened windows.
But... Oh, we're done. We need to rinse our sponges. Let's not put this away. I have to figure out where this goes. Let's take this. Put it up here. And we'll sponge this carpet.
Oh, this takes me back to when air smelled like oil and beer.
Well, that's a mess.
This place smells like ass and bad decisions.
Where does it go? Oh, here you go. And this one goes here. And this one, oh. Oh, the monkey goes there. And then, this is where the speaker goes. Okay. Oh, I can't see. Oh my gosh. Jeez. I didn't even see this until
What's all this noise? Oh, that's me.
Oh, what's Air doing all the way up there? How did it get up there? I think we're missing one more chair here. No, we got all of them. That's good.
Finished. You owe me, shitbag.
Sure. What is... looks like there's a code that needs to go upstairs. So we might have to go this way first.
Quit stinking up the place, you hang tight shitbag.
Are there any codes to help us get in? Last night I had an epiphany. We should have zombies. Sailor. It's a cozy farming game. Zombies are not cozy. What if we fluffy the pajamas? Why would they do that? Oh, they wore fluffy pajamas. I feel more cozy because they're dead and I don't give a damn anymore. I don't know. Use your brains for once. It's just a stupid waste of our time. Melee combat designer suggestion. The main character should have a very big sword. Gamers like strong protagonists and have to be really strong to drag out such a big sword everywhere you go. Also, we can add many different swords as paid DLC, Greg. Are you out of your mind? That guy is a humble farmer. Still, he has the right to defend himself. Too many cooks. Life simulator. world, small town, 2D, high quality Pixar. Okay. What's wrong with you, Tony? How can we compile code on paper? Oh God. Anything else? Any codes? Oh. 35 years of unsuccessful writing career marked by an absence of love, money, and perspectives have led me here to this godforsaken hellhole of gaming company. Everything I write is getting shit on. Everything I say is getting laughed at. But then they don't know about my secret plan. They have no idea I'm building a bomb in the basement. And on one lucky day, I'll bring it to here. I named it My Precious. Soon my precious will join, and I will be joined together in a sacred bonds of blood, guts, and explosions. Everything is meaningless and useless. Useless. Some say it's cringe. Let's see. What am I missing? Ah, the garbage can. There you go. I got sidetracked.
One half of a pool cue. Almost as sharp as my humor. Stabbed in the heart with a pool cue. Had to be personal. Or some crazy vampire hunter.
Vampire hunter. Game developers as vampire hunters. What? This seems like more than 2 liters of blood. In the hang of it now. I remember. Does it work? I could barely put it in. But it slips out. Oh, it's not. I'm depressed. It's not actually like compatible to. What is that? Oh, there we go. This thing. This needs to go over here. Anything else? E? Where the heck does this go? And this thing. Oh, there's stuff upstairs. Maybe that's what's going on. It slid down, maybe?
Could you introduce me to some young lady?
Nope. There's only one way I can go. So are we missing a chair? No, I think we got everything over here. Stairs. Oh boy.
What the heck done? Smells less like us now.
Oh, okay, you fixed it already.
Ah,
Back
back in
it
my
up.
day.
Oh my
Wait,
gosh.
what was I saying?
What is that? A wheel of misfortune?
Hang tight, shitbag.
I need to... Alright. Let's do this. Because it's carpet.
Oh,
Game
this
over.
takes me back to when air smelled like oil and beer.
Does it work? No, it doesn't.
Can't pick up anything with a full bag.
Oh, what's this? Kilgore Trout.
Wait, what was I
HR
doing?
manager. We are what we pretend to be, so we must be careful what we pretend to be. Kurt Vonnegut. That sounds ominous.
Back in my day, we just
Ah.
opened windows.
Edward Mentally Jr. Wild at heart, a new path forward draft. This part of unwavering commitment to growth, we have decided to reduce the number of our employees. We are implementing deep restructuring of our our shit organization to smoothen the game production process. Effectively today, we have made this super easy, barely inconvenient decision to better position us for future challenges and opportunities, but also get rid of some of the people who don't deserve to work here. Fuck them. We understand changes of this nature can be concerning, but we
Wax off.
don't really
Breath
care.
in,
We appreciate your
breath out.
your continued dedication and flexibility during this fun and exciting, difficult time, and we wish you the worst best. Sincerely, Edwin Mentally Jr., CEO. Let's just delete that.
What was that? An in-depth look inside the mind of an asshole?
Yes. I think you've got it. Where does this... Oh, it does go over there. There we go.
My work here is done.
Oh, really? Thanks. Where do I put him later?
Back in my day, we purified air the hard way.
Can't open that way. Let's take this, put this over here. I guess we don't need you anymore, so put you away. Where did he go? Oh no, he's just talking inside of my inventory. I got it. Hmm. Let's see. Bam. It looks like I need to refresh. Hold on. There we go. I need a refresh on my sponges and whatnot. So, come back down here. To Spongeomoto. And while I'm here, oh, I forgot to rinse first. I'm a silly goober. Let's get back upstairs. Right? Not putting things away just a little bit. Where'd this go? Here? Here? Other side? Hmm. Oh, it probably goes on this desk.
So many desks, so many HR managers. They
Why
were
is there so...
clearly the most resourceful.
There we go. Alright, sponge this? Tell me how you feel politically about all the certain departments out there. This goes over here. What's this? Alright. Guess it's an access key. Hmm. Oh boy, there's some back stuff here. Where does this go? Oh, this. Okay, let's try this. This one over here. This over here. A few missing chairs here and there. Hmm. Ah, it goes over here.
someone had a wicked aim.
Someone had a grudge.
HR specialist. Looks like her life was finally outsourced.
That's an understatement. I love it. We only have 3 bodies. Still missing some chairs. Let's take a look at this. Ryder, if I may add 2 cents, I think we should give every city some backstories, multiple cities, multiple backstories. When player visits, they should be able to learn everything about them. How do I start? I guess a single hut was born from an eternal void. WTF? Did you forget to take your pills or something? Tell me how we really feel. Guess we can't go that way, so we'll take this, put it away. We have 2 missing chairs up there. They're probably in there. There's one. We can't go that way, so I guess we're heading downstairs? I don't even know where this goes. These things. Maybe through here? Ah, we use the access card. Ah, here we go. Okay, so we'll do one.
This place smells like ass.
Yes, indeed. Oh, it's over there. This lamp.
This place smells like ass and bad decisions.
Isn't that like the case for many corporations? Like a storage area? I guess so. So we'll take this
Wax
upstairs.
on, wax off.
Kind of
Breath
finish
in,
this stuff out.
breath out.
There we go. Then we'll take a side detour
Filthy bastard.
to what looks like a kind of side area.
Back in my day, we just opened windows.
What is this?
Who's running the show here?
It's a
Queens of the
programming
Stone
game.
Age.
I spent way too much money on decorations. It's over here.
To empty the trash can first.
Did they skimp on spending money for the programmers? The most important part of the team of the company. Where does this go? I don't know. I'll put it here. Oh no, there it is. I see it. Come on. There we go. You brought this piss. You just brought this piss to a shit fight. Eric Bachman. Okay. Interesting quotes.
Good for killing people. Great for roasting food over the campfire.
The CD. Oh, Sword of Darkness. Ah. Is that it? Guess that's it. I don't see anything. Nothing in there. Alright. Oh boy. There's a lot of mess over here. Oh. I didn't realize how long this was going to take. I'm almost out of time, which is unfortunate. Maybe I can start this up a little bit tomorrow? We'll see. I wanted to play Phasmo, but today's opening day for Phasmo for the new map, and I really want to play it. But I didn't really want to play it online because I didn't want to compete with all the other streamers out there. So, since I'm almost out of time, we'll take this back. I'll save it. I'll play it again tomorrow from the top. How about that? And we can start from there again. But I want to thank you for joining me today. Nice of you to stop by and say hello. Listen to me wax prose about Dagon and H.P. Lovecraft and just kibitz. And then this nice little filler at the end. I wish there was a little bit more time, but thanks again for joining me. I hope you can join me again tomorrow. I will. Thanks again for joining me, Dirk. And I will stay safe. I hope you stay safe too and warm. Hopefully this... I know it's the beginning of winter where you are, so... I hope you'll stay indoors and warm, and you're having a cozy afternoon for the rest of the day. All right, I'll talk to you all later. Au revoir, adios, sayonara. Thanks again, and see you tomorrow. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye.